Every time, like it's a normal video. Like,
But wait, are we starting now?
You want me to intro? You want me?
howler.
You want me to intro it?
You got a howler.
I don't care. I'll do it. Welcome back to another episode podcast of Wingers and Defenders. Can you guys not hear me?
I hear you, bro, but you're like so unsure. Like you're so like, welcome to Wingers and Defenders. Maybe I don't know what we're doing. Like, oh god.
Oh man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Joe is so indecisive.
All right, we're gonna go from here. We're gonna
Oh,
leave this all in as like hour cuts.
I don't care.
Whatever you want, man.
Just go, Joe.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Wingers and Defenders. I'm Joe Camarota.
See, I didn't start laughing. That was Christian. I didn't do anything.
All right, we gotta start over.
That was me.
We gotta start over.
Oh man. Whew. We might have to do our first set of bloopers.
Welcome back to another episode of Wingers and Defenders. I'm Joe Camarota, joined with my good friend Jacob Ford and my other good friend Christian DeBlock. So, it's transfer season, man, and we're here to talk about some of the deals that have happened and some of the deals that are close to happening. So, start it off. Who do we have to start off our discussion with? Who else but Manchester City? A team that has an endless sum of money. Well, they've already signed Fernan Torres, and Ake is a done deal as well. So let's talk about those two. What do you guys think of those deals, Jacob?
I mean, I didn't know too much about Fernan Torres before they signed him. Looks decent. I think he's a player for the future. If he's playing on the right wing, which I've heard he does play on the right wing, he's not getting in before Riyad Mahrez or Bernardo Silva if Pep decides to play him there. He may go back out on loan, see if he develops somewhere else, and come back in a couple of years and be that guy for him, for Pep or Messi for the right wing. Ake, we know, is proven Premier League defender. Got relegated with Bournemouth this year, but we really know that Ake is a quality player. Plays alongside Van Dijk and the Dutch national team. Quality player. I think this is a good signing that City made. They needed to make that center back signing. I think they just need a left back now, and they'll be good. But Ake, good signing, and Fernan Torres, good for the future.
Yep. Fernan Torres, 20 years old, like you just said, young. Not really for the present. I don't remember him doing a ton for Valencia, but Valencia aren't a great team. Finished ninth in the La Liga. Got slaughtered by Atalanta, a very good Atalanta team in the Champions League round of 16. Really shocking that Valencia even got out of their group. I believe they were in the group with Ajax and Chelsea and Lille. And shocking that they got past Ajax, but credit to them for getting to the round of 16 at least. But not a great team, honestly. So hopefully Fernan Torres is good for them. But like you just mentioned, Mahrez and Bernardo Silva are much better than him.
Mahrez.
Nathan Ake, I like. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know how often you see two left-footed center backs playing together, because Laporte is also left-footed. But I think it's a good signing, 41 million. It's interesting to see that Chelsea didn't buy him because they had the buyback clause and decided to not do it. So does that mean they think their center backs are good? Do they think that Ake's not that good? I don't know what the reasoning is for that. But I think it's a good signing. Obviously, he got relegated with Bournemouth, but I like it personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Fernan Torres, I don't understand. Like that's that's a weird signing to me, just because like he's your third choice winger. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Christian over there dying.
Just
For
keep
those who
going.
don't know. All right, so Christian's dying over there in the corner of the Zoom. So Ake, I like the Ake signing. I think he's a good defender. He wins a lot of balls in the air, which is going to be important. I mean, you have Ederson, who's like a flying missile out there. We don't know. Sometimes he comes out, other times he stays in. You don't know what's going to happen. Ake being able to win a lot of balls in the air, a lot of crosses, a lot of corners. That would be helpful. Maybe keeping Ederson in goal for that purpose. So I like the Ake deal. Again, the Torres deal is just one of those deals where we have money. Let's just sign players. That to me, that's what that is. Like, I don't really understand what Torres thinks he's getting out of this deal, and maybe he just wants a trophy and a medal. But I mean, other than that, the deal just doesn't compute in my mind.
I mean, if you're Torres, I mean, yeah, you're probably better off at City than you are at Valencia. But even if that, you're a player for the future, I think. I think it's what he signed up for. If he's 20 years old, he's not going to come in and start. Because if Phil Foden's 19, 20, and isn't starting yet, why would Fernand Torres be the starter anyways? I think this is for the future. And also, Nathan Ake's buyback clause was $40 million. Chelsea should have triggered that buyback clause, I think. Like Christian said, I think they should have done that because I think they can't really rely on Rudiger and Kurt Zuma to carry them to a title. So, yeah.
And moving on, another City player that some information has come up on recently is Eric Garcia, the guy who got Mike Tyson punch out against from Ederson against I think that was an Arsenal game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Arsenal game where he got
wonderful game.
Prayers up for him. He recovered quickly. But yeah, because of that, possibly because of that moment, he wants out of City. So
not the reason, but okay.
I don't know if I got punched by my keeper. I think I'd want out of that club too. But but yeah, what are your opinions on Eric Garcia asking for a transfer request?
I mean, if he really feels as though Pep doesn't rate him enough, I mean, he brought in Ake, and if you want to be that center back partnership with Laporte, and they signed another center back that's going to replace you. If I'm Garcia, maybe I do want to leave because I don't want to be on the bench long enough. But he's only like 18 or 19, so honestly, he could make that position his own in a couple of seasons. But I mean, he may not want to wait that long. If he can earn a Barca move, which he's looking to go and do, former Barcelona player, probably loves playing there. Why not make that move? I'd rather be the third choice Barca defender rather than a third choice City defender, personally. And especially since you played at Barca beforehand. I don't think it's a bad move for him. Yeah, I don't really have too much really to say about it. I think he's a good player. He's going to be decent. I don't know how good he really can be. He's a replacement for like that center back position to partner with Laporte. I think he's going to be quality. A Barca move wouldn't be the worst for him, even though Barca's in turmoil. But I mean, I don't think it's that bad of a move. He wants to move away.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of Eric Garcia lately. That was the guy they used towards the end of the season because you had Otamendi who was used with Laporte. John Stones a little bit, but not really. And then you also had Fernandinho, who was slotted in as a makeshift center back. And then you obviously had Laporte, who was injured. And Eric Garcia wasn't really playing then. I think all the appearances he made were really towards the end of the season. I understand why he would want the deal. You're probably not going to get first choice football all the time because Ake is most likely going to play center back. He has played left back at times. I don't know if they would really want to do that. I think he's probably better as a center back alongside Laporte. So I think that makes the most sense. You have a guy they asked to renew his contract pretty much, and he doesn't want to renew it. He rejected the new contract. And he's on a 1 year. So if City want to get some money for him, you would sell him this summer. Like I think we talked about it before. I think Jake was saying maybe something around 15, 20 million, somewhere in that range. I'd probably agree with that was what you would probably get for him because he hasn't really played a lot. But also he's probably trying to go back to Barcelona. It kind of seems like something that probably could happen. He's really young, so there is promise there. I like it. I think it makes sense for him. But then on top of it, if they sell him, I think they have to go and get somebody else. I don't know who it would be, but to have your third choice center back, Otamendi looks like he's going to leave. I don't know if Fernandinho really should be used as a third center back because he has made some poor decisions from that position. He's also getting up in age. So I think if he goes, they have to get a replacement.
Yeah, I like Eric Garcia. I think he has a lot of potential. But, I mean, City is in a situation where they have so much money. They're still linked with Koulibaly. Like, in the grand scheme of things, does this really matter to them? They'll just get the money back. they'll say, "Oh, financial fair play. Who's that?" And buy another $100 million center back or something like that. I don't know. If they really wanted to, and Virgil wanted, they could buy Virgil van Dijk. If they really wanted to, they could. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff has to happen, but they could definitely offer enough money to go to Liverpool out of him. But it just doesn't make sense to me why. I mean, we already discussed this in the financial fair play video about them. They're not. They could do whatever the heck they want. So, I mean, this doesn't really matter to them that much. It matters more to Eric Garcia, and good for him for getting more playing time. So, move on to the other team, Manchester United, the bigger team, the better team. Well, maybe not better, but, the team that matters. So, I'll start off with Jadon Sancho. Some reports are coming in that the deal is put to a halt, is coming to a halt. Other reports are saying that it basically just needs to be signed. What are you guys' opinions on everything that's going on?
That's what I expected from a major player linked to a top Premier League club. You have weeks of uncertainty. Is he going to sign? He's not going to sign. Deal's not going to go through. How much is it for? I think the deal's going to go through. I just don't know when. I just matter of not if, it's going to be when. Sancho, we know his quality. Man, you've been eyeing him for at least a year now, probably more than that. He's their main target. If they sign him, they're a legit title contender. They kind of need him, I think. Well, not necessarily need him. I think Greenwood's good for the right wing position anyways, but they signed him, they're a title contender. I'm just wondering, when is it going to happen? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be next week? We don't know. But, yeah, I think it's almost a done deal in my opinion. It just went.
Yeah, I agree. And I think from even a Dortmund perspective, it makes sense to get the deal done earlier than later because it's almost inevitable that he's going. I don't think long-term it would make sense for him to stay at Borussia Dortmund, a very big club in Germany. That's you got to give them their credit. They are the second biggest club in Germany, and it's hard to be as big as Bayern Munich when they have all the money and resources they have. But he's going to leave. It's like you just said. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And from a Dortmund perspective, I think it's important that they get it done sooner because that gives them more time to find a replacement. Because Jadon Sancho was sensational this season. I think he was. He had almost 20 goals and 20 assists, I think, somewhere around that range. I don't know the exact numbers, but he was contributing to so many goals. And he's very creative. He can play he pretty much play everywhere in the front three. I don't know about as a striker, but he's really utilized in a lot of different positions for Dortmund, who play a very attacking style, which similarly, that's what United like to do, not in a real three-back formation like Dortmund do with Hakimi and Rafael Guerrero on the wings as wing-backs, but to a certain extent, they play a very attacking football, especially with the signing of Bruno and the return of Paul Pogba. But I think Sancho is a move they need. Is it the most important position they need to fill? No. But when you have a sensational quality young talent like Jadon Sancho, who is probably a future Ballon d'Or winner, you go and get him. And I've changed my perspective on how I feel about the signing a little bit over time. But I think you can't rely on an 18, 19-year-old Mason Greenwood to play 40-something games as your starting right winger, I think. I think we've seen fantastic performances from him, especially after the restart. But it's probably not realistic to rely on him at such a young age to do everything at that position for a team that probably should contend for the title next season. So I think if you have the ability to go get Sancho, even if it's for plus 100 mil, you go and do it.
Yeah, I love Jadon. I hope he gets his deal to United. I know he wants that deal. I think it's great for both sides. I think Dortmund should try to wait it out, though, as long as they can to get the best money for it. They shouldn't rush to get a deal to find a replacement, in my opinion. And instead of trying to get as much money as possible, try to do it because Dortmund's a big team, but we know it's a farmers league over there. They're not beating Bayern Munich for the title anytime soon. They're not. So it depends on what happens with that. I mean, with where they want to play. Are they going to play for a cup? Are they going to play for Champions League? Try to win a Champions League? Who knows? But I think that the Jadon move would be good. It's going to cost a pretty penny for United. But overall, I think that's going to be a good move for them because I agree with you. I mean, Greenwood's a stud in the making, but he's not 100% there. He can't play. He's going to have ups and downs. And when you're a young kid, those those ups and downs can affect how you play. If you go down, you lose confidence. You can't afford to put Dan James in there. You can't have him play. Dan James is not a basically an every game player on the bench for a title squad. He's just not. So, and that reasoning, I think that it's a great move for United. You can never have too much depth. City has shown us that. And another United player we'll get to talk about today is Chris Smalling. His loan just ended with Roma, and he wanted to stay with Roma, but Ole said, no, you're coming back here and help us with our crappy defense. What's your opinion on that, Jacob?
Well, I don't think the defense is really crappy, to be completely honest with you. It definitely needs improvement. I think Lindelof is leaky. Maguire is sometimes leaky. Left back, they need to make sure, is it Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams, who's their left back for sure. But Smalling is that guy that I don't think he's going to come right into the team and start, but he's definitely good for those Champions League games when, you have to play 3 games a week and you have to play a game midweek. Throw Chris Smalling and they were Champions League experience. Experienced center back, played with Roma this season, played very well, made the team of the season in Italy. Smalling is a player that, in the past, Man United have held him really high regard. I think Smalling will be good for them off the bench. He will not be a starter, I don't think. But I think it's good for them. If I'm Smalling, I probably would prefer to go to Roma and stay there if he really liked it that much there. Going back to Man U, we're not going to start week in and week out. It's going to be rough. But, if you're Ole and you really want to keep Smalling on your books, then I think that's fine for them. Hopefully he can adapt well and, make an impact. But I think it's good for Man United. Probably bad for Smalling, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I think I personally like the move. I think, especially if you're going to get and pay Sancho, and especially in a market where we have the coronavirus, money's not as easygoing as it usually is for United or any other big team. So I think it actually does make a lot of sense to go get Chris Smalling, bring him back. And he didn't play, which, as we're recording this, Roma are out of the Europa League. He wasn't in the squad. It would have made the difference possibly, but they got beat by Sevilla 2-0 today in the Europa League, so they're out. That's disappointing for them. And they also didn't even get into Rio. I think they finished 7th in Serie A, so another disappointing season for them. But for Chris Smalling, team of the season in Serie A, that shows with a league that has a lot of good center backs, Koulibaly, Manolas, Bonucci, and De Ligt still from Juventus. That's probably not it, but it's a great honor to win that, to be honest. So I think that shows that Chris Smalling, even at 30 years old, still offers something to United. Now, whether or not he gets over Lindelof, that's a good question. But the worst comes to worst, he's going to fight for that position, I think. And it's going to make Lindelof, and Maguire work harder. It's going to make things – it's a deeper and more depth for a position that is possibly the weakest position in the defense probably for United. That second center back is probably the hole they need to fill the most. But if, like I said, if Sancho comes in, you take that and then you can bring a guy in who has played for Ole. I don't remember him making a ton of appearances last season, but at least he has been in the system. He knows how United likes to play. So I think overall I like the move.
Yeah, but if you have a player who doesn't want to be there, how good is he going to be? You see with Ndombele and Spurs, he doesn't want to be there right now. At least so he says, his camp says. So you haven't gotten the best performances out of him. If you have a player who doesn't want to be there, I don't understand why you don't honor the wishes of someone, especially someone who's expendable. Like, I understand why you wouldn't transfer Ndombele after 1 year, because it gives him more time to adjust, do a different formation. With Smalling, he didn't, because all right at United, but if he's loving it, then he's doing great there. He didn't perform well in the Premier League. I just leave him out. I just leave him over there. So, yeah, and now we'll talk about some Spurs news. We're gonna get into a little bit of the Højbjerg deal. Fabrizio just tweeted, "Here we go. It's a done deal," and Højbjerg is a Tottenham Hotspur football player. And with that, I have to say, I personally am extremely excited for Højbjerg. I think he's going to be perfect. We're going to run that 4-3-3, have him in our holding midfield. Then on top of that, we get to play Ndombele, my guy, in Gio as in the box role. And you get the Son, Kane, and Bergwijn connection on top. Like I said, we're winning something this year. He's key to it. And on top of that, I mean, I have nothing else to say. I'm excited. What are your guys' opinions, Jacob?
Christian, please go first.
I honestly haven't watched a lot of Southampton, so I can't give a full idea of how I feel about him. Hey, he's a former Bayern player, so he was highly touted. He's 25 years old. I think it doesn't hurt to bring in more depth. I think Joe said on previous occasions that he plays a little bit of a different style in the midfield. So that gives them another option and another way to play. So I think that's a positive. On top of it, Kyle Walker-Peters is going to go the other way for $12 million, I believe, as reported. That could be true. I'm not sure. If that is the case, I like the move even more because you're not spending as much money on Højbjerg. Kyle Walker-Peters has to show a lot of growth yet, and for a team that should be challenging for Europe next season, possibly the Champions League, Kyle Walker-Peters can't be your starting right back or challenging for it in that matter at this moment in his career. Can he be at that point at some point later on? Possibly, but I think Southampton for him is a good move. So I think it's a good move. How much of an impact that he makes on Spurs, time will tell, but at this moment in time, I think it can't be considered a bad move. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. I think it's a good move. I think Tottenham needed a CDM or a defensive midfielder, and they got theirs. And I think Højbjerg is probably their best option they have for a reasonable amount of money. They want to break the bank because Levy doesn't like to break the bank. That's a good deal. Good bang for your buck, personally. He'll add to that midfield that should be really good, that attack that's really good. A team that should be a top 4 team with on paper how good they really are, except for their defense, really. But, I mean, they're still in 6th, so no trophy.
All right, well, that's what you think. Good thing your opinion is not going to be correct. And now we move to the Arsenal.
Yes, the real team.
All right, yeah. Oh, by the way, congrats on winning the FA Cup. We haven't really talked about that yet, so congrats to him. Bull crap. So it looks like you guys are signing Willian. What's your opinion on that, Jacob? I mean, Willian, some people say he's finished. He looked kind of good in his last games with Chelsea. But, I mean, this is a little David Luiz-esque. I mean, it probably gives you a little flashbacks to that, right?
It does. It really does. If that move happens, I hope it's not for that much money. Unless it's going to be is it going to be for free? Is he out of contract or?
It's free.
He's out of contract. Yeah, it's free. Very similar. No, David wasn't.
Honestly, if his wages aren't too bad, I'm not going to, if it's not too high, I won't really be mad at it.
They're saying over 100K. They're saying over 100K.
About around 100K, I believe.
Now, that's what we expect from, a player that's been at Chelsea for a long time and played well for them in the past. They don't want that money. Personally, I don't really want the deal to go through. We need to focus on our defense. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have to do every season, and a creative midfielder. That's what we need. Those 2 positions we need really badly. We don't need another right winger, considering we already have Nicolas Pepe, who we invested in our money in, and we're going to have for the next couple of years. I prefer Reece Nelson off the bench as the second option, the right wing. I don't think Willian in that team really fits. I mean, yeah, he's creative and can give us different options, but I mean, I don't think we need 3 wingers on the right. So I don't really need that deal to go through. If it does, I mean, cool. Maybe he'll be great next season. I don't know. He's very inconsistent, though. You know, we've seen when restart happened with COVID in the Premier League, he played great the first opening 3-4 games, but then he could disappear. You know, I think this is a guy that's never had double-digit goals in a season. So we can't really depend on him to be a goal scorer for us. He can create assists and he can create well on the ball. We know he's very good, but as consistency goes, Arsenal needs consistency. It's what we need. We need that. We need consistent players willing to work hard. Willian will give us the work hard mentality, but consistency, I'm not sure about. So I'm up in the air about the deal. If it doesn't happen, I'm okay. If it does, whatever.
Yeah, I personally don't like the move. Even if Aubameyang doesn't get signed, that looks like as of today, it's pretty much a done deal that it's going to happen, which is the right move. I think certainly even at 31 years old, you got to pay your best player at this moment in time. So whatever the deal is, wages wise, years wise, I would almost undoubtedly say it's a smart move for Arsenal's perspective. Willian, though, I don't get it. Nicolas Pepe is a right winger, and Willian, yes, has great work rate, very good free kick taker and penalty taker. That's where he's contributed most of his goals, especially in recent games for Chelsea. I just don't like it. I think he's 32 years old, somewhere in that range. It's not a long-term signing. And you have Nicolas Pepe, who you just paid 80-something million for, or whatever it was, 70, 80 million, somewhere in that range last season. Didn't have the greatest season, had some moments of greatness, also had some weakness moments of not showing he's ready to get to the point where he's contributing consistently in the Premier League. I think we're going to see a better season out of him next season, if given the opportunity. So even with that, doesn't make sense. Reece Nelson's there too. That doesn't make sense to me. I think he's got something to give as well. Where we've seen Willian have his best, I think his best days are gone. Where he would go if he doesn't get this move, he rejected a deal with Chelsea, so that shows something. Would that have even made any sense for him either? I don't know, because they have a lot of attacking prowess coming in and still have at the moment, even without him. So if neither of them happen, I don't know where he goes. But we've seen Pedro, who left for Italy. Maybe that's where he goes. But no matter in what situation, Aubameyang, no Aubameyang, I don't like the move.
Yeah, I don't like the move as a Spurs fan because Willian always finds a way to hurt us. So on Arsenal it would be even worse. But I understand the move. You always depth, like I said earlier, depth is always a good thing. You have young player like Saka and Reece Nelson behind Pepe and behind Aubameyang if he plays on the left wing.
Martinelli as well.
Yeah,
Martinelli as well.
Back later next season, yeah.
I mean, he's probably going to take more of a mentor role, I'm assuming, and play in like little games, maybe a sub. It doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't pay that much money for a sub though. I don't know what's going on there. So that's a weird move to me in that case. But I mean, other than that, I understand it, but I don't understand it. And that's just what I thought on it. It makes sense. I just would try to lower that price. Now we move to the pool from Liverpool. The Reds. Lallana. Christian, give us an update on Adam Lallana.
So Adam left on a free. Didn't play a lot down the stretch these last couple seasons, but was certainly influential a couple years back when Klopp was getting started at Liverpool. Left on a free. Don't know the wages, but he's at Brighton. I like the Brighton move for him. Graham Potter, I think, is a really attacking-minded coach, which gives Lallana a good team to go to, I think. I think we've seen Brighton have their good moments, their bad moments, finish relatively in the bottom half of the table. I don't know what the exact position was, but they have some quality around them. Whether Lallana at age 32 can play 34, 35 Premier League games this next season, I hope so. He did a lot for Liverpool, especially early in his years when Klopp was there. But I think it was expected. He didn't really get a lot of opportunity the last two seasons for us. Scored a big goal at Old Trafford early in October for us, which was a big game for us to win. And he's definitely had some other big games while I watched him. So I hope he does everything well out there, and I hope for the best for him.
Yeah, Lallana hasn't really been a big feature for Liverpool in the midfield recently because, Klopp's midfield, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, that's their three. And you add throw in Shaqiri and, Naby Keita now. But Lallana is a player where we've seen the best of him possibly in the past, but he's brittle by injuries. So we really don't know where he's at right now. We know that he's very technically gifted, very good player on the ball, can really create, with looking up with players. He's a good player, but he just deal with injury problems. We really don't know how good he can be. I think Brighton is a good move for him. It's a team where he'll get first team minutes. I don't think he'll play a full season. Really, he may have to get eased in or just maybe play 25, 30 games, something like that. But he'll be quality for them. Graham Potter's a decent coach. Probably know what to do with Lallana. I think Lallana knows what he wants to do anyway, experienced player as well. I think it's a good move for him, honestly. I think it was either that or he'd have to go play abroad somewhere. I prefer to stay in England and play well for a mid-table side. I think that's where he's at. I think it's a good move for him.
Yeah, shout out Liverpool for getting some deadwood out of the club. And I was Christian guessed that. for the podcast, that's a topic from another episode on our YouTube page. So go check that out. But on a more serious note, although that was kind of serious, I agree Brighton would be a good place for him, and I think Brighton would really learn from his experience. He's a title winner, so one great right there. You want title winners on your team. Winners are great. Period. He can help develop some of the younger players, while also getting valuable minutes. So I think he's a great addition to the Brighton squad if that's where he ends up going. Also for Liverpool, good. Once again, you don't need him on the team. Don't have someone on the team who's not going to play. Doesn't make sense. But at the same time, they're bringing in someone, likely. They're linked with Jamal Lewis from Norwich. So, Christian, what's your opinion on that?
I love it. I think he's 22 years old. We don't have cover for Alex or Andrew Robertson. We do have it for Trent Alexander-Arnold with Nico Williams. And we saw Nico Williams after the restart play left back against Brighton and looked really shaky. Lamptey, the loanee from Chelsea, really exposed him from that position. He's really young, Nico Williams, and it was his first game starting for left back, so I get it. But to get a traditional left back who is played there day in, day out, that's what we need. It's going to be a pretty relatively cheap deal. I think it's going to be between 10 and 20 million euros. It could be a little bit less depending if we throw a player in, which we've been linked to throwing Larouci, who is another left back who isn't keen on staying at Liverpool because he doesn't believe he will get the minutes he wants. So to me, I think I love Jamal Lewis. Scored a fantastic goal against Leicester in, I believe, around match week 28. I think he's a really good player. He's not going to get a lot of minutes right now. Whether he probably will get minutes as he gets older if he were to stay there. I have seen reports that he does want to come to Liverpool, and I would understand that. You don't want to play in the Championship, even if you might get not as much minutes. It probably makes sense to go to a champion, and that's big for Liverpool. I think we've said it on a lot of occasions on the YouTube shows we've had, which you should check those out if you haven't already. But we've said that the biggest thing going forward for Liverpool is depth. Joe has said on numerous occasions he believes that if Liverpool don't get depth, they could be in some trouble going forward. Do I believe that in the short term? Probably not, but in the long term, he's probably right. So I think Jamal Lewis for us would be a very good signing.
Yeah, I think that's a signing that makes sense. Cover for Robertson, one of the better players that needed to come from a relegation side that was going to stay up in the Premier League. Relegation sides, while they're not going to be in the Premier League as a whole, they have individual players that can be quality in the Premier League, Jamal Lewis being one of them. I think that's a good move for Liverpool. I don't have anything bad to say about that deal. If it goes through, good for them. I think that's good cover for Robertson, and I think going forward could be Liverpool's left back in the next couple of years. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. And it makes you be able to sell high on Robertson too. If this guy turns out to be really good for Liverpool, like you sell high and you make a lot of money on Robertson. Robertson's a top 2 left back in the world, not in the world, in the league. I guess you can make the argument top 2. You can.
I don't know if I am, but I mean.
Yeah, you can make the argument. I mean, you have to look at everyone. I'm not going to do it yet, but you can. But yeah, I think it would be a great move for Liverpool. Great move for Norwich, as they're going to need to offload players. You don't want players who want to be there. So yeah, I mean, I like both sides. I think that hopefully gets done soon for both teams. He's going to need a preseason to get adjusted to Klopp's system. But yeah. And finally, moving on, we're going to hit with Chelsea with Kai Havertz. Reports that the deal isn't happening anymore out there. The reports that it's still going on. Who knows at this point? I've heard personally that he might not move if they don't get if Bayern Leverkusen gets Champions League football. So they can still get that through the Europa League. So what's your opinion on this, Jacob?
I don't think they're winning Europa League, so that's not a relevant point to me personally. I think Havertz move to Chelsea is bad. I think Lampard is kind of not balancing his team out well if he signs another attacking player. He needs to focus on his defense and his goalkeeping, honestly. But be more realistic, it's easier to get in defenders than a new goalkeeper for a lot of money. So I think you should focus on that instead of Kai Havertz. Already signed Ziyech and Werner, already with a lot of attacking options already. I think it's a bad move. I think Havertz should look somewhere else if he really wants to leave Leverkusen that bad. Yeah, I don't like that move really. So
Yeah, I think Leverkusen could win the Europa League. It's possible. They won today, so they are in the quarterfinal. There's some other teams like United, but they also have qualified for Champions League football. So Inter, who are in there, Sevilla as well. I think they're the one team so far that I can think of off the top of my head that aren't qualified, besides Wolves, who I think are playing at the moment. They were winning 1-0, so that's another team. If they get to where they want to go, they are looking for that. But to be brief, since we're running a little bit out of time, Havertz to me doesn't make sense. If you wanted him, you should not have signed Werner and or Ziyech, one of the two, because you need to cover for center backs or a goalkeeper, whether they get both, one, neither, I don't know. That's what they should do, though. So to me, no matter what happens to Leverkusen, Havertz to me is the best of those three guys that would sign front three-wise potential, and even maybe right now. So possibly Werner's there as well. I don't know about Ziyech, but to me, no matter what, Havertz probably should not go to Chelsea and should probably stay at Leverkusen.
Yeah, Frank Lampard making this team, it's basically like a baby trying to put together a Jenga set, and I'll let you guys decide on what that image looks like. And that's all the time we have today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon.